So, good morning, everyone. Uh, in today's session, we are going to continue our discussion on theories. And once we cover the basic theories required for the relays, probably in the next week, we are going to discuss about the experiment on relay. Okay. So, as probably I'll cover the relays in this week in this week, and finally in the next week we are going to discuss about the experiments on relay characteristics. So I'll continue my discussion from my previous class, which we started with the basic requirement of a protective scheme. So these are the most important criteria the protective scheme must fulfill in order that they are applicable for protection in the field. Okay. So we have, I think, discussed about a few of them. Reliability is about how consistently the protective scheme performs without any failure. So it is about the quality. It denotes the quality of a protective scheme. Lesser the probability of failure, more is the reliability, we can say. And reliability can be improved with simple design, periodic maintenance, knowledge of the operating personnel, and appropriate design and fabrication. Then comes selectivity, is to select only faulty part and isolate it from the rest healthy system, is known as the selectivity. There are two types of selectivity based on the protection scheme: absolute and relative. Speed, we discussed about the speed that uh, higher the speed of the operation, lesser will be the damage, obviously. But the speed should not be so high that it even won't utilize the equipment's short time instant capability. Sometimes we need not to require fast tripping. Okay, system can withstand the situation for some period of time, so not required to have so fast release. Also, speed less than quarter cycle of after the inception of the fault is not advisable, because then it may unnecessarily trip during the transients. Okay. So discrimination, we have also discussed about the discrimination. I think that is protective scheme must be able to discriminate between fault and load conditions. Even in the case we discussed that even though fault current is less than normal load current, because ultimately, even though, see, the fault current is less, but there will be no, let's say, significant damage to the system, but still it is a fault and current is flowing to an undesired path. And also it should be able to discriminate between the very similar looking situations like fault and starting current of induction motor, inrush current of transformer, which is very high, 8 to 10 times the rated current. Sometimes it happens, power swing, and all these conditions. Okay, that is what is discrimination. So now uh, next is stability. Stability is a quality of protective scheme by virtue of which it remains inoperative. This is important. Means should not operate. Now this is something you may find uh, in case of protective scheme, you may find it some misleading that it should not operate. So yes, it should not operate under specific conditions, and that is what is this stability is. So now we will discuss about the unit and non-unit protective scheme here. Any unit protection scheme must remain stable. It should not operate under specific conditions. It means, now let me give you an example. Suppose here, for example, in the system, we have a generator, we have a transformer, bus bar, transmission line. Okay, another transmission line like this, for example. So suppose we have now different relays put. Okay, so one of the protective scheme here we have, for example, we have a for a transformer like this. It is a differential protection scheme that we are going to discuss just after we complete the basics. So what is zone of protection? Zone of protection of this transformer protection is within the primary to secondary winding. This is called as the zone of protection. So this is the area within which the protection scheme provided for this transformer operates. Okay. Then suppose we have another transmission line protection. So for that we have put a relay over here, and this relay will operate in this zone. Let's say this is zone of protection of relay this, and it is overlapped with another zone of protection with nearby line. Fine. Clear this diagram? These two zone of protection are overlapped here, and this is a transformer protection zone, and similarly here we have a bus bar protection zone. Suppose like this. Another. I'm not drawing CT right now because we do not have that. But for example, this is another zone of protection for bus bar. Okay, overlapped by proper CT location. So here we put one CT, here we put another CT, and then there is a relay. Now, for example, understand. For example, there is a fault on bus bar. Here, there is a fault on bus bar. Should this protection scheme operate? ट्रांसफॉर्मर प्रोटेक्शन को ऑपरेट होना चाहिए. For a fault on bus bar, yes or no? What do you think? For a fault on bus bar, should this transformer protection zone relay operate or not? What do you think? Yes, it should operate. Okay. Any other answer? क्वेश्चन समझ में आ रहा है? फॉल्ट बस बार पे है, ट्रांसफॉर्मर जोन की जो रिले है उसको ऑपरेट होना चाहिए कि नहीं होना चाहिए ये फॉल्ट के लिए. ओके मिलन, करेक्ट. Any other answer from anyone? Yes, Jai, 48. Enrollment number 48. Jai, what do you think? You can unmute and you can speak. Anyone who wish to unmute and speak, they can unmute and speak. Jai, 48. Enrollment number 48. Jai, what do you think? For a fault on bus bar, should transformer relay operate or not? उसको ऑपरेट होना चाहिए कि नहीं होना चाहिए? फॉल्ट बस बार पे है. ओके. What about others? Correct, Nidhi. Vatsal, roll number 5. What do you think? Correct, Apurv. Correct, Mahimdan. Vatsal. No, Bhavesh. It is not correct. Vatsal, what do you think? Rule number 5. Yes, Jatin, your answer is correct. Yes, yes. Now you have a correct answer. Rule number 5, Vatsal Nimawat. I am asking to you, respond to the question. Vatsal, are you there? Vatsal Nimawat. Okay, just a moment. It should, answer is no, it should not operate. Why? Many of you have given correct answer. See, it is a bus bar fault. So bus bar protection will take care of this. Why should transformer protection operate? It will create some misleading information to you. Suppose there is a fault on bus bar and the transformer relay operates. Operator may find that there is a fault in transformer, and you will try to find out, figure out what is the fault in the transformer if transformer relay operates. Is it in its protection zone? ये fault इसके protection zone के अंदर है कि बाहर है? What do you see? The fault on the bus bar वो protection zone के अंदर है कि उसके बाहर है, transformer protection के? The question is that the, yes, correct, Milan. It is not in the protection zone of transformer. It is in the protection zone of bus bar. Bus bar relay को देखना है इसको तो. Yes, Bhavesh, understand? Okay. So क्योंकि otherwise what will happen? It will create so many confusion. Suppose बस बार फॉल्ट है और ट्रांसफॉर्मर रिले ऑपरेट हो रही है, एज एन ऑपरेटर व्हाट डू यू थिंक? आप क्या सोचोगे कि फॉल्ट ट्रांसफॉर्मर के अंदर आया है क्योंकि ट्रांसफॉर्मर की रिले ऑपरेट हुई है? Yes, the diagnosis of the fault will be completely different. So it should not operate. When should the transformer protection operate? When there is a fault in the transformer, and this is called as the unit protection scheme. What is unit protection scheme? Scheme which operates, which only operates, I would write, for the faults within its zone of protection, which operates within its zone of protection and does not respond to fault outside its zone. समझ में आया? अगर फॉल्ट उसको जितने पार्ट के लिए हमने रखा है, अगर उसमें फॉल्ट हो रहा है तभी वो ऑपरेट होगा. फॉर एनी अदर फॉल्ट एनीवेयर इन पावर सिस्टम इट मस्ट नॉट रिस्पॉन्ड एक्चुअली. ठीक है? एंड दैट इज व्हाट द मीनिंग इज दैट इट शुड रिमेन inoperative under specific condition. Like here, fault on bus bar, this transformer protection should not operate. It should remain stable, and that is what is the term is stability. समझ में आया? Now there is another type of protective scheme, I would say, is non-unit. What is non-unit protection scheme? It also responds for the faults outside its zone of protection. Now you will think which one is better. So depending upon the application, both have their advantages, disadvantages, and their applications. So in practice, when we will see the different types of protection, we will find that some of the protection schemes are unit, some of the protection schemes are non-unit. Both are required in our power system. So likewise, if I give you an example, see here, zone of this protection, suppose there is a fault. To make you understand that non-unit. Suppose there is a fault here on this line. Now it is in zone of this relay as well as it is also zone of this relay. Fault ये लाइन का है, तो यहाँ पे हम ये रिले को ऐसे कोऑर्डिनेट करेंगे कि पहले ये रिले ऑपरेट होना चाहिए. इफ दिस रिले डज नॉट ऑपरेट विद इन सम टाइम, तो उसके बाद ये रिले, उसके थोड़े टाइम के बाद ये रिले ऑपरेट होगा. So although fault is in nearby line, द रिले ऑफ एडजॉइनिंग लाइन, उसके पास की जो लाइन की रिले है वो फॉल्ट के लिए ऑपरेट होगा. अगर ये रिले ऑपरेट नहीं होता है तो दैट इज ए नॉन यूनिट, दैट इज ए नॉन यूनिट एग्जांपल ऑफ ए नॉन यूनिट. इट विल आल्सो रिस्पॉन्ड फॉर द फॉल्ट्स आउटसाइड द जोन ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन. So power system is consist of different schemes. Some of them are unit, some of them are non-unit, depending upon the application it is required. So stability criteria is criteria for unit protection. When you have a unit protection scheme, it is compulsory that it should not respond, it should not have anything uh, to respond for the faults outside its zone of protection. ये समझ में आ गया यूनिट क्या है, नॉन यूनिट क्या है? Clear? What is unit, what is non unit? Yes or no? Quickly reply. Fine. So now let me go back. Now. You there. Okay. Absolute selectivity is a property of unit protection. And relative selectivity is a property of non-unit scheme. Clear? In this case, it will only select and disconnect the part for which it is placed, in which it will also select and disconnect a part for which it may not be primarily set. Okay, that is what is the relative selectivity, is a property of non-unit scheme. Clear? So that is what the meaning of stability. It should not operate. It should remain inoperative. Remember, this is only for applicable for unit protection scheme. Then comes sensitivity next. So sensitivity is about how much the level of fault current any protective scheme or any quantity it can sense. So it is the minimum level of fault current at which operation occurs is called as the sensitivity. So generally the fault setting, the sensitivity is expressed in operating quantity referred to primary of a transducer. Transducer means CTVT. So generally the sensitivity is given in terms of CT primary. Now sensitivity of protective scheme is different for relay and for protective scheme. There is a difference. We will see this later on in the transmission line protection, that how the sensitivity differs for relay and protective scheme. So how do we define sensitivity of relay? Sensitivity of relay is defined as is expressed as the apparent power required for causing its operation. how much minimum power is required to cause the relay to operate is called as the sensitivity. Suppose here we have two protective scheme, two relays. One is a 1 VA relay, other is 3 VA relay. What do you think, which is more sensitive? What do you think is more sensitive? 1 VA is more sensitive or 3 VA is more sensitive? Correct, Viral. Anyone else? Yes, correct, Yash. Obviously, see, if you consider the same voltage for both the relays, then this will operate at lower fault current. Okay, this will give, this will operate at lesser current. If you consider that the voltage in the application for both the relays are same, then this will require less current to operate because its VA rating is operational VA is small. So it can detect lower fault than this relay. So this is more sensitive. Understand? So this is about the sensitivity of a protective scheme. And last comes economy. Already we have discussed that the protective scheme should not be more than the cost of the protective scheme should not be more than 5 to 6% of the cost of equipment which you want to protect. We have also considered some examples for this. Unless until the equipment is very critical, generally the cost of protection is kept within 5 to 6% of the cost of the equipment. There are some exceptions, like in case of generators or large power transformers, where the cost of protection can be further more than this, depending upon their critical requirement in the scheme, in the power system. Okay. So, excuse me. So this is about the 5 basic requirements: reliability, selectivity, speed, discrimination, stability, sensitivity, and economy. Very, very important for any protective scheme, that it must fulfill all these requirements. Then only it can be useful. Fine. Now, next topic we discuss is about the main and backup protection. So the protections can be divided into two parts. One is called as the primary protection and second is the backup protection. Primary protection is the first line of defense. Means when fault occur, this set of relays will operate firstly. Okay, that is what is we call as the primary protection. And what is backup protection? In case if primary protection fails, the set of relay or protective scheme which operates and provides backup is known as the backup protection. If I give you an example, so the same example which we discussed, suppose we have the transmission lines like this, okay, three sections A, B, B, C, and C, D, for example. So their set of relays are at substation A, looking after from A to B. Set of relays, these are overcurrent relays at substation B, looking after C, and let's say R3, R2, R1. You will study this in detail. Don't worry right now if you are not able to understand exactly. So this relay will operate from bus substation C to D, protecting this line. This relay reach we are going to set from, let's say, B to D, but with higher operating time. And the third relay set, we set the reach of relay R1, we will set from, let's say, A to D, like this. Okay. Reach is the remote limit of zone of protection from where it will operate from this point. Suppose if I have set, I have placed relay at substation A, then what is the remote limit? Remote limit is it will reach, it will operate for any fault up to substation D. That is what is called as the reach of the relay. Reach of relay. Remote limit of zone of protection. Okay. Say now there is a fault on line section C to D. So what do you think, which relay should operate first? Out of R1, R2, R3, which relay should operate first? What do you think? Out of three relay, yes, obviously Milan. Which relay should operate first for a fault on line section CD? Yes, Umang, roll number 7. Okay, Maimdan, correct. Umang, roll number 7. Tell me. Yes, Nidhi. Umang, tell me. Are you there? Okay, correct, Umang. Your answer is correct. Good. Okay, Jatin. So R3 should operate first and should trip this circuit breaker. Okay, R3 should operate first and trip the circuit breaker here. Now by chance, so that is what R3 is a primary protection for line section CD. R3 is primary protection or primary release. Okay, by chance, it happens in the system by chance. Suppose here the circuit breaker is not tripped by relay R3. There are many reasons, we will discuss it later on, but let me tell you that this may happen because there is a, let's say, CT, there is some error in the CT here and it has not actually given correct current to relay. Suppose CT is okay, but relay R3 itself is having some problem. Okay, there is some damage to relay R3 and it has not operated. Then also the breaker may not trip. Suppose relay R3 has operated correctly, but it energizes the auxiliary relay. So auxiliary relay may not have correctly operated. Then also circuit breaker is not tripped. Suppose everything is fine, but the control circuit which is given with the battery supply, the battery is not properly having maintaining the terminal voltage, and at the time of tripping cannot supply the trip current. Fine, battery is also okay, but let's say here the breaker itself, breaker contacts got jammed and could not separate out. There is a problem with the spring or energizing element or anything, and due to any reason the breaker is not open. So understand, when breaker does not operate, it is a failure of protective scheme, it is not a failure of relay. Clear? Any reason could be possible. Then what will happen? What do you think? If R3 does not operate, what will happen? Dharmesh, what do you think? Role number 2. अगर R3 ऑपरेट, यहाँ पे ये ब्रेकर ओपन नहीं हुआ किसी वजह से, तो क्या होगा? What will happen? मान लो हमने टाइम सेट किया है, R3 का टाइम हमने रखा है 0.2 सेकेंड, R2 का टाइम हमने रखा है 0.4 सेकेंड और R1 का टाइम हमने रखा है 0.55 सेकेंड. Yes, Dharmesh. Role number 2. Need reply from you. Correct, Chirag? Correct, Niti? Correct, Maimdan? Chirag? Your answer is correct. Dharmesh, what do you think? Role number 2. Quickly reply. Okay, fine. So yes, Chirag, your answer is correct. Suppose in 0.2 second this breaker is not opened, then see this reach, it is in the zone of R2 also. Yes. 28 Chirag Pitroda. Roll number 28 Chirag Pitroda is attending class without audio. So I think he has a very good ability to understand from only video. Audio is not required for him. Then obviously see this relay, if does not operate and does not trip the breaker here, fault is not cleared. Still you can see the generator is feeding the fault. So what is the next choice to disconnect the fault is to open this breaker. So R2 will operate after some time delay, and then it will trip the breaker over here. So this section is disconnected, and that is why for section CD R2 is a backup relay. Understand? Understand this point? As well as R1 is also backup protection. Why? Because see, if R2 also fails to trip this breaker, R1 will operate and will trip this breaker. That is what is called as the backup protection, primary and backup relay. Now I would like to ask you a question. If you understand the basic requirement, suppose if R2 relay operates in 0.2 second and R3 relay operates in 0.4 second for this fault, is it correct? Is it correct operation?
No, sir.
Okay. So what do you think, which of the, yes, everyone has a correct answer. What do you think, which of this criteria is not matched, fulfilled in that case? अगर सेक्शन CD पे फॉल्ट हुआ और R2 पहले ऑपरेट हो गया R3 से और सबस्टेशन B पे ब्रेकर को ओपन कर दिया C के बदले, विच क्राइटेरिया इज नॉट फुलफिल्ड? नो निधि, दोनों ने फॉल्ट तो सेंस कर ही लिया है, सो सेंसिटिविटी इज नॉट इश्यू. ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स? यस प्रतीक, यस चिराग, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. You have understood exactly the meaning now. Very good. Pratik and Chirag, your answers are absolutely correct. It is selectivity. ये criteria आपका match नहीं हुआ है. Because you have to select and isolate only faulty part from rest healthy system. देखो अभी क्या होगा, if this happens, ये ब्रेकर के बदले पहले ये ब्रेकर ओपन हो जाएगा, ये लाइन तो हेल्दी है, तो आपने हेल्दी लाइन को भी ट्रिप कर दिया, फॉल्ट तो क्लियर हुआ लेकिन हेल्दी लाइन भी ट्रिप हो गई, तो आपने आपका जो सिलेक्टिविटी क्राइटेरिया है दैट इज नॉट मैच्ड, एंड दैट इज व्हाई सच सेटिंग्स आर नॉट अप्रोप्रिएट. ये लाइन तभी ओपन होनी चाहिए जब ये रिले फेल होता है एज ए बैकअप. क्लियर? लाइकवाइज फॉर लाइन सेक्शन BC R2 इज ए प्राइमरी रिले. अगर आप देखोगे तो अभी R2 क्या है, R2 इज नाउ प्राइमरी प्रोटेक्शन and R1 is backup protection. Understand what is primary protection, what is backup protection? कोई doubt? Primary protection is the first line of defense. Okay. and when the fault occur, they will operate first. And what is backup? Backup is the one which will operate in the event if the primary relay fails to trip the breaker. It is a time delayed operation. This one is a little bit time delayed. Fine. So clear about primary and backup protection? Yes, fine. Then let us discuss one more point here so that the things will be clear. About the backup, we want to discuss about the backup. We have two types of protection scheme, unit type and non-unit type. What do you think? Does unit type provide backup to anyone? If we have a unit protection scheme, वो किसी को बैकअप देगा कि नहीं देगा किसी और स्कीम को? करेक्ट नीति. सपोज अगर समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, let me explain you with the scheme with the same example that we have taken. Suppose here we have a transformer protection zone which operates in this region, and then we have a bus bar protection zone which operates in this zone. Suppose here there is a fault on bus bar, तो ये ट्रांसफॉर्मर प्रोटेक्शन इसको बैकअप देगा कि नहीं देगा? It is a unit protection scheme. Correct, Niti, your answer is correct. Yes or no? What do you think? Yes, Bhavesh, correct. क्योंकि ये यूनिट प्रोटेक्शन है, इट विल नॉट ऑपरेट आउटसाइड इट्स जोन ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन. इसके बाहर वो कहीं पे भी ऑपरेट नहीं होगा. देन obviously for this fault it will never operate, so it will not provide backup. So what is unit protection scheme? They will never provide backup to any other scheme. Whereas non-unit protection scheme, they will provide backup क्योंकि that will also respond just like as the case here we discussed, that this will provide backup to this. However, there is no backup provided by any of the scheme. So this is also important, that unit protection does not provide backup to anyone, whereas non-unit is required. In order, when you want to have backup in your system, you require non-unit protection scheme also. So that is why we have a combination of these two. Then you might have a question कि इसको backup कौन देगा, but that we will see in the particular unit. Okay, don't worry. Fine. We will have backup at least everywhere in our power system. So nothing to worry about कि अगर हम यूनिट रखते हैं तो बैकअप कौन देगा. So there are other schemes which are there for backup. Don't worry. Okay. Clear? Now there are three types of backup mainly used. These three types are relay backup, breaker backup, and remote backup. What is relay backup? So it is a scheme where all protective devices of a scheme are in duplication. Duplication means it is not duplicate. Everything we have two sets for everything. Like say CT, or maybe we have a PT, we have relays. Okay, wires, everything. So we have two different sets. And both will act as a main protection 1 and main protection 2. समझ में आया? कोई सपोज ये एक ट्रांसफॉर्मर है, उसको मुझे I want to give a backup protection, differential protection. So what do? We have two different sets for the same transformer. We have two CTs, two relays, everything is doubled. They are exactly identical. And what do we do here? We generally use relay from different manufacturers, not the same. एक रिले अगर सपोज मान लो स्नाइडर की है तो दूसरी रिले विल यूज फ्रॉम एबीबी. सेम रिले इज okay, but of different manufacturers. And this type of scheme is used for very critical devices. In power system, generally large transformers, large generators, in which the relay backup scheme is generally provided. Not to all. Why? What will be the issue? अगर मुझे सब जगह पे ये स्कीम यूज करनी है कि हर एक जगह पे मैं डबल सब चीजें डबल रख देता हूँ, what will be the problem? क्या प्रॉब्लम होगा? समझ में आ रहा है रिले बैकअप? यस और नो? समझ में आया? और शुड आई रिपीट क्विकली? आई नीड सम रिस्पॉन्स. ओके नीति, यस, करेक्ट. द इश्यू इज द कॉस्ट, इकोनॉमी. क्योंकि आप एक ही ट्रांसफॉर्मर के लिए दो सेपरेट प्रोटेक्टिव स्कीम आप यहाँ पे एम्प्लॉय कर रहे हो, एकदम आइडेंटिकल है, तो कॉस्ट क्या होगा? इट वुड बी डबल obviously, and that is why it is not for all devices in power system. It is for some very critical devices or large let's say EHV lines. Okay, yes Jay, again suppose ये एक ट्रांसफॉर्मर है, उसको मुझे प्रोटेक्ट करना है, तो मैं क्या करूंगा? प्रोटेक्टिव स्कीम मेरी जो होगी, उसके सारे जो भी इक्विपमेंट इसमें यूज हुए हैं वो मैं डबल रखूंगा, सेपरेट. यानी इसके लिए मैंने दो रिले रखे हैं सेम, एक रिले अलग कंपनी का, दूसरी रिले अलग कंपनी का, इसके लिए दो सिटी, इसके लिए दो सिटी, लेकिन ये दोनों स्कीम जो है वो एक ही ट्रांसफॉर्मर के लिए मैं यूज कर रहा हूं. सो इट इज ऑल जस्ट लाइक ए डुप्लीकेशन ऑफ ए स्कीम. यानी हम ये मानते हैं कि अगर ये फेल हुआ तो ये तो है. समझ में आया? सेम सेट ऑफ इक्विपमेंट्स फॉर वन सिंगल इक्विपमेंट, तो कॉस्ट क्या हो जाएगा? ऑलमोस्ट डबल. Yes. So it is not for all equipment. Some critical equipments in the power system, like some major EHV lines. Mostly, if you go to substations, you will find they will say main 1 and main 2 protection. What is main 1? Main 1 is set 1, main 2 is set 2 for the relay, for everything. That is what is relay backup. Understand what is relay backup? Any doubt? Second is breaker backup. What is breaker backup? Suppose here we have 3 outgoing and 2 incoming lines, okay, like this in a substation. So suppose there is somewhere fault over here in the other part of system, and suppose primary relay fails to operate, then what do? We trip all the breakers associated with a bus bar as a backup protection. No problem, Jatin. So that is what is called as the breaker backup. All the breakers associated with a bus bar at a substations are tripped following that there is a protective scheme is failed in the, let's say, downstream part of the power system. That is what is a breaker backup. Clear? Suppose there is a fault here on the line, and if it is this relay does not trip, then what do? We trip all the breakers associated with this substation. That is what is a breaker backup. Clear? And third one, widely used scheme in the power system is remote backup. What is remote backup? So the example that we considered here right now, previously, to understand the unit and non-unit. Substation A, B, C, D. Okay, R1, R2 is relay set substation B, R3 is the relay set substation D. So this is source side, and this is, let's say, load side. So this is called as the downstream, and this is called as the upstream. Okay, if we move from load to source, we call it as the upstream, and if we move from source to load, let us call it as a downstream. So what is a remote backup? If there is a fault on the line, let's say here, and if this relay fails to trip this breaker, so then the breaker of next upstream line is tripped after some time. It is remote. Why it is remote? Because see here, suppose this is a 150-kilometer line. Understand? Okay. Suppose this is a 100-kilometer line. Distance between these two substation. Okay, substation A and substation B are separated by 150-kilometer, and they have a line of 150-kilometer between them. The substation B and C are separated by 100-kilometer long distance, and let's say this is 60-kilometer line. Okay, or maybe let's say 30-kilometer line. So suppose if there is a fault on line section CD and the relays at substation C fails to trip this breaker, then after some delay, upstream relay means the relay which is at the substation, which is at remote end. अंडरस्टैंड? अगर ये ब्रेकर यहाँ पे ओपन नहीं हुआ तो 100 किलोमीटर इसके पहले अपस्ट्रीम साइड जो सबस्टेशन है, जो लाइन यहाँ से जा रही है, इसका ब्रेकर हम उसको ओपन करेंगे, एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज नोन एज द रिमोट बैकअप, वाइडली यूज्ड स्कीम इन द ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस जनरली. Clear? If a downstream relay fails to trip the breaker, the relay which is there at the upstation in the next substation, upstream substation, will trip the breaker. And if this fails to trip, then this will trip the breaker. So that is what is called as the remote backup. समझ में आया? समझ में आया कि नहीं आया? Here in remote backup, we do not require separate backup relay. सेपरेट बैकअप रिलेस हमें नहीं चाहिए. क्यों नहीं चाहिए? क्योंकि जो मेन प्रोटेक्शन है वही बैकअप के फॉर्म में यूज होगा. सपोज जैसे लास्ट टाइम इन लास्ट स्लाइड आई हैव सेड, लाइन सेक्शन सीडी के लिए क्या है? R3 मेन रिले है और R2 एंड R1 बैकअप है. सेम सेट ऑफ रिले अगर जाओगे तो लाइन सेक्शन बीसी के लिए R2 है वो मेन रिले हो जाएगा, वही रिले मेन रिले वर्क करेगा और R1 बैकअप हो जाएगा. So you don't require separate backup relay here. जो रिले है यहाँ पे वही एक ऑपरेशन के लिए मेन प्रोटेक्शन के फॉर्म में काम करेगा, दूसरे ऑपरेशन के लिए वो बैकअप करेगा. जस्ट व्हाट यू नीड टू डू इज दैट यू हैव टू सेट रिलेज प्रॉपरली. आपको उस तरह से सेट करना है कि ये रिले को कोऑर्डिनेशन, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द रिले कोऑर्डिनेशन, that you have to study in this subject, how to coordinate relays. Okay, it will be covered in the overcurrent protection of transmission line, don't worry right now, how to set this relays. Fine. So I hope you understood about all three types of backup. Relay backup, all the protective scheme auxiliaries equipments are duplicated, very costly, applicable to critical equipments, devices in the system. Breaker backup is the if there is a fault on any part of the system, then bus bar, all the breakers associated with a bus bar to that part, if we open it, is a breaker backup. And remote backup is the backup given by upstream relay in the event if the downstream relay fails. Downstream means load side, upstream means source side. Okay, there is some time delay involved, but it is a widely used protection scheme, because here we do not require any separate backup relays in the scheme. So it is not costly at all. Fine. Any doubt from anyone? Clear? Okay, fine. So let us move ahead. Next part, evolution of protective relay technologies. Okay. So what are the different types of relays we have and how they have been evolved? Okay. So first set of relays that were invented was known as the electromechanical relay. Very simple relay. I think more than 100 years it is now, probably. The first type of relay was used. Then with the advancements in the electronics, static relay came into the market, and due to certain disadvantages, they are now, I think, obsolete, not used widely. Okay. Microcontroller based relay, with the inventions of the microcontrollers, computers, okay, processors, this type of relay came into the market. And further, with the advancement in the technologies nowadays, very widely used, mostly these relays are used in practice. Those are called as the numerical or digital relay. We will see, these are also microcontroller based relay only, there are processors, but this relay have certain more advantages than this its previous version. Okay, so we'll see that. This is a protective relay, which is a kind of electromechanical relay. What is electromechanical relay? So this relay will have coils, magnets, moving parts, all this. They work on some force and torque balance principles. Okay, force and torque balance principles. So here you will find this is a kind of electromechanical relays, you can see. These relays are auxiliary relays. I have said previously that auxiliary relays we require for tripping of the breaker, any alarm initiation. So you can see these relays are auxiliary relays generally. Okay, which is of this type in construction. You can see there is a coil, there is a core, and there is a movement of this arm. Very simple attracted armature relay. Okay, so this is what is the meaning of electromechanical relay. Clear? Like have you seen the energy meter previously? Disc type energy meter, there is a rotating disc, there will be a pressure coil and current coil. Have you seen? Not the digital digital meters, energy meters nowadays we have. Previously we have to we used to have that disc type energy meter rotating with a pressure coil and current coil. I hope you might have studied in energy in measurements. Yes. So that is a electromechanical structure, you can say, where you have coils and disc and rotating parts and moving parts and everything. So yes, this relay also will have very similar type of constructions. Okay. And more than 100 years, I think now this relay have been in the field. Very rugged and you can say bulky. Okay, they are bulky comparatively. Why? Because the design, the size of the relay will be quite higher in comparison to controller based relays. Then comes the static relay. So with the evolution of let's say transistors, op amps, okay, so static relay are not having any coils. They do not have any coils, they do not have magnets, they do not have moving parts. Nothing. And that is why the name is static relay. Okay, so they use transistors, op amps, ICs generally. So and perform the same function. Understand this, all the relays have similar functions to perform. When I say overcurrent relay, suppose there is an overcurrent relay, it can be constructional wise, it can be electromechanical relay, it can be a static relay, it can be a microcontroller relay, or it can be a numerical relay. But all of this relay will have different construction, but they will perform the same function, which is of overcurrent protection. Okay, this is the difference in their construction, operation and principle, not in the functions they do perform. So static relay are the relays. Now, what is problem with the static relay? Static relay are very, let's say, we can say, very sensitive to disturbances, impulses, because they operate on low voltage applications. So sometimes if there is a transient, okay, then easily the components of this relay may get damaged. So that is an issue with the static relays. That these relays are having reliability issues in comparison to electromechanical relay. Say, I am saying, we are not even discussing with the microcontroller based relays. So generally nowadays this static relays are not used; they are obsolete, and rarely you will find the application of static relays. Then comes the microprocessor based relay. So whatever functions in electromechanical relay, what do? You perform the task using force or torque. Suppose if I give you an example, if current through this coil is more than, let's say, any ampere, let's say 1 ampere I say, then this will attract the armature and relay will operate. So here it is the force acting on the armature will increase such that it will attract the armature when current is more than 1 ampere. So here we have used force or torque phenomena. Same function can be done using microcontroller relay with actual comparison. You studied microcontroller, so you will read the data and you will check if current is more than 1 ampere actually tripped. Same function is done, but here there is no force, torque, nothing, only comparison. So here it actually calculates or compare. Fine. That is same function, but in a different way. You have a program, you read the data, and the program will compare and will, according to the logic, it will perform the task. And there is a trip or no trip, same thing. That is what is called as the microcontroller based relay. Now, what is a numerical or digital relay? It is even one step ahead. This relay will have communication facility. What it means? Suppose here we have a transmission line. Let's say this line is 300 kilometer long. Then a relay at substation A and substation B, they can communicate with each other. That is what is a numerical or digital relay, which have much more functionality than simple microcontroller based relay. Okay. So yes, obviously you are using some controller here, but then the functionality are completely different. It is much more than a relay, I can say, where you can communicate, you can record, you can measure, you can store. There are so many functionalities you will have. Adaptive characteristic means depending upon the situation, you are going to change the characteristic of relay as per the program. So this has multifunctionality, and nowadays this is the widely used relays in the field. Okay, it can perform multifunctions. Same relay can offer you 10, 20, 50, 100, whatever number of protection you require. Only one single relay is enough for all the functions. Okay, so that you will understand later on when we discuss about the numerical protection, that how uh, the numerical or digital relay is superior to any other of the of the category in construction. Okay, so what the numerical relay can do, you can see. It can carry out fault diagnosis. It can also check the behavior. It can record. It can report. It can communicate with the database. It can communicate with the control center. It can communicate with the utility. Whatever you want to do, this relay can do. Okay, and that is what the numerical relay nowadays we are used widely. Obviously, the cost will be higher, but considering the overall reliability, accuracy, everything, speed, multifunctionality, it is still a better choice. So now we are going to have a classification of the relays, where we can classify relay based on the operating quantity, single input relay, two input relay, multi input relay. Suppose overcurrent relay, if I say, so it is only one single input relay, it require only current. Okay, there is another relay, I would say directional relay, directional overcurrent relay, which will require both the input voltage and current, so it is a two input relay. There are some relay which are multi input relay, you require more than one quantity as an input, two quantity maybe. Fine. Then second, functions they perform. So if you want protection against overcurrent, it is an overcurrent relay. If you want protection against over voltage or under voltage, it can be categorized. It is classification. Okay, as an over voltage, under voltage relay, distance relay, which will give us the distance to the fault point. Directional relay, which will say the direction of the fault, whether it is in forward direction or reverse direction. Overfluxing, like you can say over frequency, under frequency. There are many other examples. Reverse power. So there are many relays depending upon depending upon what functions they are used to. Then this is based on the time of operation. Very important point. We are going to discuss it in the next slide probably. Instantaneous, time delayed, and IDMT. There are three types of characteristics. I'm not going to discuss it detail right now because that is what we are going to have in soon. Constructional wise, it can be heavy. It may have an armature, attracted armature. It may have a disc. It may have a cup or any other kind of construction. Electromechanical. This all are electromechanical. Principle of manufacturing is discussed: electromechanical, static, microprocessor, numerical, and special relays. Reinforcing relay, trip relay, and alarm relay. This we will cover at the end of the session. Okay. So these are the set of relays we will have based on the different functions. This is how we classify the relays. Fine. Clear? Now, let us start with the different relays. So now we are going to start with the construction. What it will cover? It will cover construction. See, any relay when you will study in the upcoming sessions, these are the key points that we are going to discuss. Construction. Yes, Umang, no problem. Operation and characteristic. And its application, or application we can take separately at different terms related to that relay. So we are going to start with the first set of relay, that is we call as the thermal relay or overload relay. Okay. So first, before we understand the application of thermal relay and its operation, it must be very clear what is difference between overload and overcurrent. Suppose here we have a supply, let's say this is a bus bar and this is some motor, okay, coupled with some load, mechanical load. Can anyone tell me any idea about what is an overload and what is an overcurrent situation? Any idea from anyone? What do you mean by overload? Okay, this you might be knowing. Yes, anyone can explain me what is an overload condition? What do you mean by overload? Yes, Viral, correct. Anyone else? Your answer is correct, Viral. Anyone else, or should I ask individually? Yes. Overload is a very simple term. You have studied, I think, about overloading of various equipments. What will happen? Nidhi, it is overload. Your definition is correct, but this definition is actually overload. Okay, I will explain. Don't worry. Milan, yes, very good, very good. This is the perfect answer. Okay, anyone else? So here, overload is equipment draws more current, it is above rated current, okay, above its capacity. From the supply to which it is connected. So for example, this motor is 50 ampere rated, okay, and whatever HP, depending upon HP, we have connected some load here. So here, if I connect the mechanical load such that motor draws from the supply, let's say 55 ampere, we can say the motor is overloaded. Why? Because it is now drawing current which is more than its capacity, is 50 ampere. So there is a 5 ampere overload on the motor right now. Clear? Is this a fault? Is this a fault? If motor is overloaded or equipment is overloaded and it is drawing more current from the supply, is this a fault? Correct, Niti. Correct, Pratik. Okay. Yes, Abu, is this a fault? 33. Abu, roll number 33, 16 series. Is this a fault? You can unmute and speak, or you can write in the chat box. Roll number 33, Abu. Quickly reply. Sanjay, roll number 10. Sanjay, roll number 10. Are you there? Sanjay, roll number 10. And Abu, 33. So I'm not receiving any response from Abu, either Abu or Sanjay, roll number 10. Sanjay, are you there? Roll number 10. You have to reply in the chat box, or you can unmute and you can speak. Okay. Rahul, roll number 19. Rahul, roll number 19. Are you there? Yes, Rahul. Rahul, roll number 19. See, if you do not respond to the question, I'll remove you from the class. Okay, there is no meaning that you are here in the class and you are sitting idle and doing anything. So make sure that whenever I ask you, you have to respond. Vatsal, roll number 5. Vatsal, roll number 5. Yes, Vatsal. Vatsal Nimawat. Okay. Satyajit, 21. Enrollment number 21, Satyajit. Okay, what do you think? Is this a fault? If equipment is drawing more current from the supply due to overload, is it a fault? Can we consider this situation as a fault? What do you think, Satyajit? Okay, no problem. Okay, how do we define fault? Can anyone tell me the definition of a fault? It is a very simple definition. Yes. Definition of a fault. Yes, Viral, do you remember? Definition of a fault. Sorry. Just a minute. Yes. Viral, do you remember the definition of fault? Very good. Flow of current to an undesired path. Yes, yes, Niti. What is flow of current? So fault is flow of current to an undesired path. Undesired or unintended, you can say. Fine. What is undesired path means? What is desired path? Desired path is from source to load. This is our desired path. Okay. Now in this condition, does current flowing to undesired path or still it is in the desired path? What do you think? करंट यहाँ पे ये कंडीशन में अनडिजायर्ड पाथ में फ्लो हो रहा है और स्टिल इट इज इन द डिजायर्ड पाथ, स्टिल इट इज फ्लोइंग फ्रॉम सोर्स टू लोड, क्या है? व्हाट डू यू सी? ओवरलोड जब इक्विपमेंट हो रहा है तो करंट अनडिजायर्ड पाथ में फ्लो हो रहा है और स्टिल इट इज फ्लोइंग फ्रॉम सोर्स टू लोड. यस, इट इज स्टिल इन द डिजायर्ड पाथ क्योंकि वो करंट इक्विपमेंट खुद ड्रॉ कर रहा है. इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू एनीवेयर, ग्राउंड में नहीं जा रहा है या वो रिटर्न नहीं हो रहा है दूसरे फेज से शॉर्ट होने की वजह से. सो इट इज equipment, so it is not a fault. Overload is not a fault. Understand? The current still is flowing to the desired path. The only difference here is current is above its rated. उसकी कैपेसिटी से ज्यादा ड्रॉ कर रहा है, तो ये फॉल्ट नहीं है, ये फॉल्ट नहीं है. इसके लिए हम क्या वर्ड यूज करते हैं ऐसी कंडीशन को डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए? एनीबडी रिमेम्बर? याद है किसी को? ऐसी कंडीशन जो नॉर्मल नहीं है लेकिन फोल्ड भी नहीं है. This is not a normal condition for equipment, but it is also not a fault. तो ऐसी ऐसी कंडीशन को हम डिस्क्राइब कौन से वर्ड से करते हैं? नो विरल, नो मिलन. We have already covered this point. Anyone? याद है किसी को? ऐसी कंडीशन जो कि फॉल्ट नहीं है लेकिन नॉर्मल भी नहीं है. उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? नो. Let me go back and show it to you. What is this? It is abnormal operating condition. It is an abnormality. Recall? Yes, समझ में आया अभी? It is abnormality. So one of the example here I have explained it previously that overloading is abnormality. It is not a fault. It is different from fault. Clear? So here overload is a abnormality. It is not a fault. Whereas what is overcurrent? In overcurrent, current flows to undesired path. Suppose यहाँ मोटर का इंसुलेशन फेल हो गया and then current is flowing through the winding to go to the ground. That is what is an overcurrent situation. It is a fault. Where current is flowing to an undesired path. Magnitude of current will be significantly different from in overcurrent situation than on overload. Overload may be in some percentage. Overcurrent may be in multiplication. Let's say here we can say 10% overload. उसका मतलब rated current से 10% ज़्यादा है. Here current may be 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, 8 times the rated current. We can say that is an overcurrent situation. तो यहाँ पे current जो होगा, the magnitude of the current would be quite higher. Here it would be in percentage sum. समझ में आया? ये फॉल्ट होगा तो ये करंट यहाँ पे हो जाएगा लेट से 200 एम्पियर. ओवरलोड में जो 55 है वो इट कैन बी हियर 200 एम्पियर. So there is a significant difference in the magnitude of current also, and most significant difference here is here current is still flowing in the desired path which is drawn by equipment. यहाँ पे equipment खुद वो current draw कर रहा है, यहाँ पे equipment current नहीं draw कर रहा है, वो current कहीं पे undesired path में जा रहा है. तो समझ में आ गया डिफरेंस ओवरलोड और ओवर करंट के बीच का. यस और नो? शुड आई रिपीट? ओवरलोड और ओवर करंट का डिफरेंस समझ में आ गया पहले? यस, क्योंकि हम दोनों टाइप के रिले स्टडी करने वाले हैं. द रिले विच आर यूज्ड फॉर ओवरलोड एंड द रिले विच आर यूज्ड फॉर ओवर करंट. तो ओवरलोड के लिए जो रिलेस होंगे वो डिफरेंट रहेंगे, उसका ऑपरेशन डिफरेंट रहेगा. ओवर करंट के लिए जो रिले रहेंगे वो भी डिफरेंट होगा, बिकॉज बोथ आर कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट फिनोमिना. सत्यजीत, now you got it? 21. Satyajit, 21. You said no idea, so I have explained it and you got it. समझ में आया? Okay, क्या समझ में आया बताओ मुझे. You unmute and you explain me. What do you understand? What do you understand? क्या समझ में आया? Please unmute and speak. समझाओ मुझे. Yes, Satyajit. Quickly. Yes, Niti, that is correct. That is absolutely fine. Overcurrent is a fault. Overload is a abnormality. Yes. Yes, Satyajit, I am waiting for your answer. What do you understand? क्या समझ में आया? Yes. Okay. Are we talking about over voltage, Satyajit? શેના વિશે વાત કરીએ છીએ અત્યારે આપણે? What are we talking about? Are we talking about over voltage? Yes or no? See, you need to be very attentive. I will ask anything to anyone. What we are discussing, what I have said, what do you understand? It is a post follow-up. It is not that I will continue to speak and you will be there. Whatever you wish you are doing. Just keeping your phone on. Few of them are replying only 3 to 4% every time, same person. So even though it is an online class, your involvement is must. Okay, make sure. It is not a session where I will speak, continue, and you will do anything you wish. Just for the sake of attendance, I will take continuous follow up. Whatever we are discussing on that. Fine. Make sure that you reply correctly whenever asked. Satyajit, be attentive. Okay. Whatever we are discussing about that. Fine. Okay. So overload is abnormality, overcurrent is a fault, and see this relay is overload relay, the thermal relay, which we are going to discuss right now. So I think you understand that this relay is very well suitable for this condition, and it is not suitable. We will discuss why. This relay is not suitable for this condition. It is not for fault. ये relay fault के लिए हम use नहीं करेंगे. क्यों नहीं करेंगे? I will explain in the end. Once we discuss the relay, you will understand that it is not suitable for overcurrent situation. It is suitable for overload situation. Fine. इतना समझ में आ गया पहले? Then let us move ahead. Clear? So let us now discuss the relay. To understand the relay, I have considered just like this is a motor. Okay, it is the same diagram, three phase motor connected with three different phases. Let's say ABC. These are the cities to feed to relay. Okay, यहाँ पे relay होगा. ये relay है, thermal relay. ठीक है? This is a thermal relay. And whatever current motor draws from primary, accordingly secondary current will be reflected in the relay to the relay coil. These are motor winding. ये motor के winding है तीनों phase की. ठीक है? So and it is connected with a load, some mechanical load. ठीक है? Now when motor draws rated any current between no load to rated current. Suppose motor current is between 0 to full load. Okay, any rated current. Then that current will flow through the winding and it will generate the heat. Which is I square R T. This question I have already asked previously, and I would like your attention that whether you remembered it or not. We have already discussed this point, but we'll again discuss here because it is very important. So suppose this motor is, let's say, if I say 50 ampere rated, okay, some large motor. So it is going to and it is operating at full load. ये motor पे मैंने full load connect किया है, and it is drawing 50 ampere per phase current here. For example, total. So there will be heat generated because motor is continuously on. Okay, motor is continuously on. So the question I had already previously asked is, if I keep it on for 24/7 365 days, ये मोटर को मैं permanently load रखता हूँ. ठीक है? Will heat generated increases continuously? Temperature increases continuously? Yes or no? यहाँ पे ये वाइंडिंग का टेम्परेचर कंटिन्यूअसली इंक्रीज होगा कि नहीं होगा, इसको मैं कंटिन्यूअस ऑपरेशन में रखता हूं तो। हाँ कि ना? यस नीति, करेक्ट, योर आंसर इज करेक्ट। मैंने एग्जांपल भी दिया था कि आपके घर पे आप फैन रखोगे, उसको ऑन रख दो, कंटिन्यू, बंद ही नहीं करो। Probably you will have such equipment in your home which you never shut it off. It remains on for continuous time. Temperature increase नहीं होगा, even though time increases. Why? Why temperature increase नहीं होगा? Anybody remembers? Yes, correct. Yes, your answer is correct. Because there is a heat generation as well as heat dissipation in any equipment. So just like as let's say motor is running in some environment and there is a difference between the winding temperature and ambient temperature. Suppose यहाँ पे winding का temperature है for example is let's say 5 degree centigrade and ambient temperature is let's say 30 degree centigrade. So there is a difference between the winding temperature and ambient temperature, and heat dissipation is proportional to Td raised to 4, where Td is the difference between temperature ये दोनों के बीच का डिफरेंस है टेम्परेचर का, एंड हीट डिसिपेशन इज प्रोपोर्शनल टू Td रेस टू 4। ये जो टेम्परेचर डिफरेंस है उसके हिसाब से हीट वाइंडिंग से डिसिपेट होगी। सो टेम्परेचर विल रिमेन कांस्टेंट, it will stabilize when heat generation rate of heat generation balances the rate of heat dissipation। समझ में आया? आप फैन को 24/7 ऑन रखोगे तो टेम्परेचर बढ़ता नहीं जाएगा, क्योंकि जैसे वहां पे वाइंडिंग में टेम्परेचर हीट जनरेट हो रहा है वैसे हीट डिसिपेट भी हो रहा है सराउंडिंग में, और जिस रेट द रेट एट विच बोथ विल बी इक्वल, टेम्परेचर विल सेटल डाउन एट दैट पॉइंट। एंड that is what the meaning of CMR। कोई भी suppose if I say 50 ampere is a CMR, it is continuous maximum rating। यानी उस इक्विपमेंट को आप कंटिन्यूअसली 24/7 365 डे ऑपरेट करोगे, इट विल नॉट हैव एनी इश्यू बिकॉज इट इज डिजाइंड फॉर दैट ऑपरेशन। ये मोटर 50 एम्पियर कंटिन्यूअसली ड्रॉ करेगी तो यहाँ पे हीट का कोई इश्यू नहीं होगा, क्योंकि आपने यहाँ पे जो इंसुलेशन डिजाइन किया है, that insulation is capable to withstand the heat generated up to 50 ampere continuously without any problem। मटेरियल्स में पढ़े हो आप, इलेक्ट्रिकल मटेरियल्स में क्लास ऑफ इंसुलेशन? particular class can withstand a particular temperature, and based on that you have to decide the insulation for your equipment. ABC, there are, I don't remember the exact temperature range for each insulation class. Probably you might have studied. Suppose your equipment needs to withstand continuously 75 degree centigrade temperature। आपने डिजाइन में देखा कि you have analyzed that the continuous temperature the winding will have is 75 degree, and then you decide which class of insulation you require for this machine। अगर आपने ऐसा इंसुलेशन लगा दिया जो 60 डिग्री विथस्टैंड करेगा, then that is not a proper design। I hope you will study everything in design in this semester about this। Okay, या तो आपको कूलिंग देना पड़ेगा अप्रोप्रिएट उसके लिए, so that the temperature will remain in stable range। समझ में आया? So any equipment can withstand the heat. In fact, it is, we are talking about insulation when I'm saying machine. If it is operated in the range of no load to full load, उसको कोई problem नहीं होगा insulation को, if you run it continuously. Got it? ये बात समझ में आई पहले? Things are clear up to this point? Fine. Should we move ahead then? This point is very important to understand. To understand the thermal relay or overload relay, ये part जो है वो बहुत important है कि वाइंडिंग का टेम्परेचर स्टेबल रहेगा उस पॉइंट पे जहां पे हीट जनरेशन और हीट डिसिपेशन का रेट इक्वलाइज होगा, और आपने इंसुलेशन उस हिसाब से यहाँ पे डिजाइन किया है कि वो हीट को विथस्टैंड कर लेगा, इट विल नॉट हैव एनी इश्यू. सो अगर आप ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक देखोगे, दिस इज करंट ड्रोन बाय इक्विपमेंट इन मल्टीपल ऑफ रेटेड करंट, यानी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऐसे है. Characteristic is like this. This is current in multiple of rated current. Yani this is full load current, one is full load current, this is 2 times the full load current, 2 is, this is 3 times the full load current. Like say this is 50 ampere, this is 100 ampere for the example that I am taking. Okay, this is 150 ampere like. समझ में आया है? ये characteristic में क्या है? X axis is current which is in multiple, and this is time period for which it can carry that current. So just like we discussed here, it can take full load current for any time, it has no issue because it is a continuous maximum rating. तो ये जो मोटर है वो 50 एम्पियर continuously for it can take for any time. Why? You have designed the insulation to withstand the heat. समझ में आया? ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक समझ में आई पहले? सिंपल. Yes, I am going to discuss still detail. ये just what is the x-axis and y-axis. It is current in multiple of rated current, and t is the time. Now suppose this motor, it is this 50 ampere. Okay, full load current. It can take for any time. Now suppose it is drawing 55 ampere. कितने परसेंट ओवरलोड किया हमने इसको? जिसका रेटेड करंट था 50 एम्पियर, बट इस पे हमने लोड बढ़ा दिया है, मैकेनिकल लोड. तो अभी ये सप्लाई में से 55 एम्पियर ड्रॉ कर रही है. हाउ मच इज द परसेंटेज ऑफ ओवरलोड? यू कैन से कितने परसेंट ओवरलोड किया है मैंने इसको? समझ में आएगा? परसेंटेज में अगर मैं पूछूं तो क्वेश्चन समझ में आया? करंट के फॉर्म के बदले मैंने उसको परसेंटेज में आपको पूछा है कि अगर 50 एम्पियर के बदले 55 एम्पियर ले रही है तो 50 एम्पियर इज 100% लोड. this represents that it is operating on 100% load. तो 55 एम्पियर पे वो कितने परसेंट पे ऑपरेट करेगी लोड के? यस, इट इज 110%. सो व्हाट इज ओवरलोड? 10% इज द ओवरलोड राइट नाउ. ये मोटर को हमने 10% ओवरलोड किया, उसका मतलब ये हुआ. ठीक है? सो इफ ओवरलोड इज बाय 10%, हीट जनरेशन में कितना फर्क होगा? सपोज आर और टी को हम कांस्टेंट ले लेते हैं, तो हीट जनरेशन में कितना परसेंटेज चेंज होगा? लोड इज 110%. नो, Don't forget, it is in square proportion. अगर ओवरलोड 10% हो रहा है, नो मिलन, नो विरल, हीट का रेट कैसे बढ़ेगा? क्वेश्चन समझ में आ रहा है? सपोज load is changed by 10%. Yes, Milan, now you got it. Exactly correct. Load is 110%, तो हीट जनरेशन का रेट कौन से परसेंटेज से बढ़ेगा? ये 10% बढ़ा है, तो हीट जनरेशन किस रेट से बढ़ेगा? Will it follow 10% also? Yes, Viral, it is 21% because ये स्क्वायर प्रोपोर्शन में बढ़ेगा. हीट जनरेशन विल फॉलो स्क्वायर प्रोपोर्शन. तो जैसे आपका लोड बढ़ता है तो हीट स्क्वायर प्रोपोर्शन में बढ़ती है. ठीक है. नाउ हैव यू डिजाइन्ड योर मशीन टू विथस्टैंड दिस ओवरहीट? आपने मशीन को इसके लिए डिजाइन किया था कि आपका इंसुलेशन इस हीट को विथस्टैंड कर पाएगा? Yes or no? The obvious answer is no, but it can withstand for a specific time. इमीडिएट डेंजर नहीं है. ठीक है. इंसुलेशन इज गोइंग टू विथस्टैंड हीट फॉर सम स्पेसिफिक टाइम, और उसके बाद भी अगर आप ये ओवरलोड कंटिन्यू करते हो, देन इंसुलेशन विल डिटोरिएट एंड इट मे बी फेल, बर्न आउट हो जाएगा. समझ में आया? सो दिस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक, अंडरस्टैंड दिस वन, द वन विथ सॉलिड लाइन, this is called as the thermal withstand capability curve of equipment to be protected. What it is indicating? It is indicating the ability of equipment to withstand the overload. What it indicates? Suppose यहाँ पे अगर equipment is drawing 2 times the full load current, it can safely withstand this current for this much time. इंसुलेशन वो करंट को इतने टाइम के लिए विथस्टैंड कर पाता है, इसके बाद इंसुलेशन विल ब्रेक, बर्न आउट वाइंडिंग का. एंड ऑब्वियसली it is in inverse proportion to the current. जितना करंट फुल लोड से ज्यादा, उतना टाइम ऑफ ऑपरेशन is lower. If it is drawing 3 times the full load current, the time for which insulation can withstand the heat generated, क्योंकि हीट जनरेशन स्क्वायर प्रोपोर्शन में बढ़ रहा है. So insulation may not have any issue up to this time, but ये overload अगर इस टाइम से ज्यादा रहता है, then the insulation will fail. इंसुलेशन फेल होगा तो क्या होगा? What will happen if insulation fails? Any idea? What will happen if insulation fails? Suppose I'm giving an example. मान लो कि ये मोटर को आपने ओवरलोड कर दिया and it is drawing 100 ampere. It is drawing 100 ampere. Yes, Rohit, your answer is absolutely correct. इसका कैपेसिटी है that it can take it for let's say 5 minutes. ठीक है. ये जो इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर है, those manufacturer will provide this characteristic to you. मान लो कि ये मोटर आपने ली है So it will have a characteristic like this thermal withstand, and it always starts after full load. Okay, अगर कोई मोटर का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक आप ऐसे ड्रॉ करते हो थर्मल विथस्टैंड, इट इज ऑफ नो यूज. क्यों ये नो यूज है? क्योंकि ये तो फुल लोड करंट भी इतने टाइम के लिए ले पाएगा. इज देयर एनी सेंस ऑफ दिस इक्विपमेंट, यूजिंग दिस इक्विपमेंट? ऐसा इक्विपमेंट यूज करने का कोई सेंस है जो फुल लोड करंट भी कुछ टाइम के लिए ले पाएगा? समझ में आया मेरा क्वेश्चन? आप एग्जाम में कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ड्रॉ करते हो, जैसे ओवरलोड रिले मैंने पूछा और आपने कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ड्रॉ की, मैंने इसके 0 मार्क दे दिए. डू यू थिंक will you get any mark for this characteristic? Is it technically correct characteristic? No, obviously no. So when you draw the characteristic, make sure that it is a technically correct characteristic. Overload characteristic always starts after full load capacity, क्योंकि full load तो वो कोई भी टाइम के लिए withstand करने वाला है. So when you draw the characteristic, make sure that you draw it correctly. Fine. अभी समझ लो, दिस इज एग्जांपल कि ये करंट ये 5 मिनट के लिए ले पाएगा. सो सपोज यू हैव एन ओवरलोड विच स्टेज फॉर 4 मिनट, और उसके बाद ये ओवरलोड निकल जाता है. सो विल द इक्विपमेंट, ये मोटर को कोई प्रॉब्लम है उस हिसाब से? दिस कैन विथस्टैंड ओवरलोड ऑफ 2 टाइम्स द फुल लोड करंट फॉर 5 मिनट. लेकिन ये 4 मिनट में ये ओवरलोड यहाँ से निकल जाता है. Will equipment have any practical damage? No, obviously. Everyone has given the correct answer. No, क्योंकि वो उसकी कैपेसिटी है, उसको 5 मिनट तक विथस्टैंड कर सकता है. इट हैज नो प्रैक्टिकल वी कैन से डैमेज. तो हमें मोटर को इमीडिएटली ट्रिप करना चाहिए यहाँ पे, जैसे ओवरलोड हुआ, चलो लेट अस ट्रिप द मोटर, और शुड वी वेट? Do we require immediate tripping? No. We can provide some time. Yes, we should wait, and that is what is utilization of capability of equipment. Let me go back and show you, so you can correlate. Here we have said ठीक है, मोटर का 2 टाइम्स पे कैपेसिटी था 5 मिनट. यहाँ पे मैंने रिले को ऑपरेट करा दिया 1 साइकिल में 20 मिली सेकेंड में. रिक्वायर्ड है, ओवरलोड हुआ और हमने ट्रिप करा दिया, या तो हमने ट्रिप करा दिया 1 मिनट के अंदर. डू यू थिंक इट इज ए वाइज डिसीजन? और आपने जो प्रोटेक्टिव स्कीम डिजाइन की है वो करेक्ट है? यहाँ पे समझ में आ रहा है ये क्राइटेरिया जो मैं बता रहा हूँ अभी? डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? You have designed a relay which will trip in 1 minute if there is a overload of 2 times, where in the motor can take it for 5 minutes without any damage. So is there any sense of this relay? It is not utilizing the withstand capability, short time withstand capability of the equipment. So no, that is what the speed criteria here we discuss. So I am going back because you can correlate now. These terminologies are very important for any scheme, and that is why correlation is required every time when we discuss. Okay, so what is time? Still we have 5 minutes, so I will just make it end here after this point. So, okay, now higher the current, I think now you understand it, that the higher the current, lesser will be the time it can take. So thermal withstand capability curve is the nature, you can see this. I hope it is clear why the nature of the withstand characteristic is like, because it follows the inverse characteristic, square proportion, the heat generation is. Fine. Now, so the relay should trip before 5 minutes, not too early. Okay. And it should closely match the characteristic with the equipment. Suppose if I design a relay with a characteristic like this is relay characteristic. Okay. Do you think this is appropriate relay characteristic? What do you think? Is it an appropriate relay characteristic? Quickly, we do not have much time. I'm going to end this session very soon. ये जो मैंने relay डिजाइन किया है, जो जिसकी characteristic is like this, does this relay make any sense or is it
No,
appropriate
sir.
relay? Yes.
No, sir. No, sir.
Of course no. Bhavesh, can you explain why? Yes, Bhavesh, please can you explain क्यों ये relay?
Because,
हाँ,
sir, characteristic is डॉट लाइन है ना,
हाँ, yes.
इससे नहीं हो सकती है ना सर।
नहीं क्या?
पहले
What is problem?
फॉल्ट होगा और उसके बाद ऑपरेट होना चाहिए ना। फॉल्ट के पहले ही ऑपरेट हो गई, मान लो फुल लोड नहीं है और
नहीं,
ऑपरेट हो गई।
नहीं, it is not full load. See here. Yes, Nidhi, your answer is absolutely correct. Full load तो यहाँ तक ही है रिले मोटर का। ये 2 times दी फुल लोड करंट है जो वो 5 मिनट के लिए ले सकता है।
यस सर।
और रिले कब ऑपरेट हो रहा है कैरेक्टरिस्टिक के हिसाब से? सी इफ यू सी द रिले विल ऑपरेट आफ्टर
6, आई थिंक 6।
आफ्टर द टाइम। तो मोटर यहाँ तक ही विस्टैंड कर सकती है। इस पॉइंट के बाद मोटर का इंसुलेशन क्या हो गया? ऑलरेडी डैमेज। और रिले उसके बाद ऑपरेट। इज देयर एनी मीनिंग ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग प्रोटेक्शन व्हेन ऑलरेडी डैमेज हैज डन? समझ में आया?
यस सर।
रिले बाद में ऑपरेट होगी, डैमेज पहले हो जाएगा मोटर को। तो दिस रिले डज नॉट मेक एनी सेंस। वो रिले की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक कहां पे होनी चाहिए? इक्विपमेंट की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक के अबाव और बिलो?
बिलो।
Yes, it should be like this. Obviously below. See, abhi now you understand that motor can withstand this current for 5 minutes, but relay will operate somewhat which is less than 5 minutes. Let's say some 4.30 minute or 4.50 minute like this. So practically, if relay operates by this time, motor will not have any damage because it was within well its capacity. So remember thumb rule that the characteristic of relay must be below the characteristic of equipment to be protected. उसका operating time उसकी capacity के से कम ही होना चाहिए. It should be always below. I hope you understand. So the relay characteristic is always below the characteristic of equipment to be protected. This is relay. And it should closely match. मैं relay डिजाइन करता हूं लेकिन ऐसा डिजाइन करता हूं, चलेगा? आई एम नॉट यूटिलाइजिंग दिस मच कैपेसिटी ऑफ इक्विपमेंट। हो सकता है उस टाइम में यहां से लोड निकल भी जाए, आई डोंट नो। सो इट शुड क्लोजली मैच। ठीक है? सो हाउ द रिले विल ऑपरेट, कैसी डिजाइन होगी, हाउ इट विल प्रोटेक्ट the machine against overload, that we are going to discuss tomorrow in our session. We will continue this discussion. Okay. So anyone having any doubt? Yes. We can discuss. Yes. Anyone having any doubt? Fine. Then please enter your enrollment number and wait until the instruction. And again, I'm repeating, make sure that you are attentive in the class. At any point of time, I will ask to anyone about what the discussion is going on. Yes and no are not the options. You need to reply whenever we ask something. So all those who have entered the number, they can now leave the class. And with this, I'll end the session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.